The Electrofire Wizard is a new troop at Builder Hall 10, and since you now earn loot from every attack, you will want to know how to best use this. Upgrading to Builder Hall 10 will cost you 4.8 million Builder Gold and take 7 days to upgrade. This unlocks the new Expo defense, but it is different than the home village, alongside one additional mine. When the update lands, I will certainly be using a book of building for this. There are some other high priority upgrades I will tell you about, but appearance-wise, I like the look of Builder Hall 10. You will first have to upgrade the Builder Barracks to unlock the new troop. If you have been enjoying these update breakdowns, we only have a small percentage of viewers subscribed to the channel, so I would recommend subscribing, because I will be bringing you all of the content you need once the update lands. The Electrofire Wizard starts at level 17. This is in line with the other troops now having minimum levels, but it means once you do unlock the Electrofire Wizard, he is strong enough for you to use straight away. Every upgradable building will get a new level at Builder Hall 10, including the gem mine, but I wouldn't necessarily recommend that straight away. The Star Laboratory is the building I will be upgrading first, because I can then start upgrading my troops. Depending on how you have your buildings spread across your two villages, do not forget about upgrades in the second. Otto's Outpost being a strong defense, especially if your opponent doesn't have splash damage troops, so it should be a high priority. Others include the Lava Launcher, Roaster, Air Bombs, and the new Expo, which I'll get to in a moment. A prime example here though, I don't have capacity for this upgrade, so the storages are something you will have to look into early on. The other non-defensive building I will be upgrading right after the Star Lab is the Healing Hut, so that my surviving troops from Stage 1 will have extra healing moving into Stage 2, because you don't get to attempt Stage 2 if you don't 3-star the first one, but obviously you want to increase your chances in that second stage, because as we found out yesterday, the loot you gain is dependent on the stars you get. Let's go build and explain the Expo first. If you are purchasing any of the Builder Base update offers, you can press the C in the top right beforehand to support a creator. My code is Judo, and it helps to support the channel massively, so thank you. The Expo will cost you 4.4 million Builder Gold, and remember you can only have a certain amount of defenses on each stage, so it might default it to the second stage initially, but all you would have to do, as nicely demonstrated in the layout editor, is remove one of the defenses from stage 1, and then you would be able to pull the Expo across. The defense you removed, you would obviously have to place on stage 2. The Expo can be upgraded to level 5. I have flashed all of the costs and stats for each level on the screen briefly for you, but remember, being an update sneak peek and from the dev build, the stats can change slightly when the update goes live. At maximum level, the Expo is devastating in the Builder Base with 116 damage per second and a huge range, 12 tiles whether it is on ground or air. There are different strategies depending on which one you pick, but that is the main difference of the Expo here in the Builder Base than the home village. On ground mode, it cannot fire at air troops, but on air mode, it cannot fire at ground troops. So the range of the Expo is not decreased due to the setting change, because it is not able to fire at both ground and air. When it comes to strategy in defending for the Expo, there are a couple of different approaches. The obvious one is to have it more centralized in your village, since it does have such a large range. There isn't any cannon carts in mortar mode taking that out. And because the villages are smaller, it can start firing at the troops a lot faster. There is a counter coming up when we get to the Electrofire Wizard. The other option is to help where there are vulnerabilities in your base. If you have a lot of ground-based defenses in an area, a baby dragon or the battlecopter could take advantage. Placing the Expo on air mode in that area will be able to help you out. Obviously, the opposite is true due to ground or air. Should you have not much ground coverage on an area of the base, then you might want to use the Expo in ground mode over that area. When it comes to should the Expo be used on stage 1 or stage 2, the fact that there is only one Expo means it is very easy for your opponent to know if they are looking at stage 1, there is no Expo, I have to deal with it in stage 2. The advantage of using it in stage 2 is you can hide whether it is ground or air, because you can't scout the second base until you beat the first one. You only get 2 reinforcement cam slots, so your opponent could could still switch out and use the opposing ground or air troops, but obviously if you reveal what setting it is on in the first stage, they have 6 army camp slots to adjust. Still very difficult, I know, when you have the rest of the base to deal with, but maybe a slight advantage for the Expo on stage 2. Onto the Electrofire Wizard. With a starting level of 17, you only have to do 3 upgrades to get him to maxed. His ability will switch between the two, much like how the cannon cart switches between the 2 modes, but this is way cooler. 2 troops in 1. When you first deploy the Electrofire Wizard, his default mode is fire. However, the ability is instantly ready. If you need the Electro version, just press the ability as soon as you deploy him. There is then a 1.5 second cooldown each time you want to make the switch, but in reality, unless you accidentally press it, this shouldn't be an issue. At maximum level in fire mode, he deals 252 to 505 damage per second. This is because the beam ramps up exactly like an Inferno tower. In Electro mode, less than half the DPS of the maxed fire version. However, it can chain to 4 different targets, and that is the secret to using the Electro mode. Much like the Electro Dragon in the home village, you can only chain between buildings that have a 1 tile gap. Anything greater than that, it will break the chain, so obviously more compact areas is where you will get the best advantage of the Electro Wizard, and if you can initially hit those buildings that have high hit points. Because if the buildings you are chaining to have less hit points than the initial target, you could fully take those down. Majority of the time, this will just be 1 Electro Wizard, but in rare occasions, you might get extremely lucky and be able to chain through multiple high HP buildings on the outside to take down major defenses in the middle, including the brand new beautiful Expo being completely outranged. Even if you can't outrange defenses, it might be worth using a giant to enable the Electro Wizard to get the value. The Electrofire Wizard having a spring weight of 14 means it is not vulnerable to a regular spring trap. However, it is vulnerable to the push trap. Just like any wizard in Clash of Clans, it is very vulnerable with low hit points. So if you're not using the Electro mode to outrange defenses and create the funnel, you will need something to tank in front of it. Whether it is Boxer Giants or the Battle Machine, it really doesn't matter. You just need a strong ground troop to absorb the damage. That being said, if you do have tanks out in front absorbing the fire, you will want to have the Electrofire Wizard in fire mode because it deals so much more damage. So when do you want to switch between the two? Really, it's a case of finding those areas on the outside where you can take advantage of the chaining, create the funnel for your main attack, and then making sure just before that building the Electro Wizard is firing at is about to go down, you deploy your tank, such as a giant, to then assure you can switch to fire mode and deal increased damage. That is your final sneak peek for the Builder Base 2.0 update. I will pop a playlist here of all of the videos so you've got the information easily to reference. Enjoy the rest of your day.